I'm Riley Harvey for VCN, and we are live for stage 8 of the online events company's vRAAM adventure, and we are about to set off on 40 miles, around about 64 kilometers of road selected directly from the real RAAM racing circuit, and this will take us up to and running by the Mississippi. It's a lot flatter than recent courses have been. There's only 250 meters of elevation, and it's going to be the ending of the flatter sections. I think from this point on it starts getting a little hillier again. We are leaving Wentzville. Now, as I say, heading towards the Mississippi. We've got our sponsors in here: Spiegel Bikes, Race Across America, Infinity Seats, and we will be checking in with the information from the real life RAAM, and hopefully we should be getting some highlight reels from there. I think the riders are once again around about the same distance into the race as we are, so roughly about 2,100 miles into the race. We'll probably see that the riders in real life are going to be around about the same point. So we're about 2/3 of the way through the race being generally around about 3,000 miles from Oceanside over to the finish in Annapolis. So we will watch the racing underway for a little while, and then we'll cut back to some of the different excerpts from the day's racing and yesterday's racing from RAAM, and any news that's on there on RAAM, and we will keep on mixing it up between the virtual racing and the real life racing. You can see here we've got Tim Like on camera. Tim has completed all the stages so far, so has Joanna Sharp. Joanna has been flying in most of the stages. We expect that Tim, being a slightly heavier rider, will be able to keep up with Joanna on this stage. Joanna's been very, very fast in the mountain stages. Joanna's only a very light rider, and the watts per kilogram, she's quite strong, but she's strong for weight, so coming into the mountains absolutely flies. So in the flatter sections, I think Tim's a slightly heavier rider. I don't know how much Tim actually weighs, but looking at the performance, he does do better on the flatter sections, on the flatter courses, so I expect that he's going to be close to Joanna in finishing tonight. 92 meter gap between them at the moment. We'll see how that pans out, how that stays stable. So Joanna at the moment, Joanna Sharp, is in third position overall in the GC, so we'll bring up the GC for the vRAAM event in a little while as well, and we'll bring up the standings for the real life event, and just trying to keep abreast of the two events that are running simultaneously. I'll leave you to just enjoy the racing for a little while, and I'll come back to you with some updates in a minute. So looking at the stage results there, we can see that Bo Duke and Jeff Rooney are the only riders so far to have completed all 8 stages. And they've got a time of 14 hours 39 minutes for Bo Duke and 15 hours and 33 minutes for Jeff Rooney. Joanna Sharp and Tim Light will have also completed all 8 stages by the end of tonight. Luis Gustavo Balina has been quite often riding in the midnight stage, so we'll see whether Balina completes the stages tonight to also bring them up to the 8 stage target. Margaret Thompson has got stage 5 and 6 missing currently, completed stage 7 and has been riding in multiple stages over the days, depending which time had suited her schedule best. So I expect that we'll see another time for Margaret Thompson tonight in the 12 o'clock slot. And there is a catch-up stage, catch-up day coming in at the end of the event. So we may see that Margaret will pick up those 2 stages that have been missed. So Joanna Sharp is in 3rd place overall on the GC. Jeff Rooney 2nd, Bo Duke in 1st. Of the ladies, Joanna Sharp is the leading lady at the moment. Margaret Thompson, as I say, with 2 stages missed, so it's unlikely Margaret's going to leapfrog Joanna. But there is a makeup day to come, and we've overall segments. So in the segments, we've got a point system in the segments, and so far it looks like Bo Duke has won all of the segments and has got a score of 990. Jeff Rooney 2nd for a number of them, and Mitja Kovacic has scored 2nd in some of them as well. Mitja is finished riding at stage 4. Don't know whether they've got other commitments. Not all of the riders had intended to ride all the stages. And podium wise, you can see there, it's a mirror image on the GC and segments, and on the ladies GC we have Joanna Sharp and Margaret Thompson. So that's the results as they stand at the moment. They're looking fairly solid, consistent results as they're going along. So the routes along RAAM is filled with beautiful scenery. Unfortunately with RGT, whilst we can recreate the roads amazingly and we've got every turn, bit of elevation reflected in the roads that the riders are going to be going through, the scenery currently is just a general scenery. We're hoping that will improve in the near future, but it does take a dramatic amount of memory power to just create the scenery that we have now, and to have it reflect the real world is not only a real drain on resources, but it's a very expensive prospect as well. So we've got the scenery being provided by clips through RAAM's own media team. We've got a clip here of Monument Valley, which we passed earlier on in the vRAAM adventure. It's one of the stages that we go through on the vRAAM adventure. So we've got a little clip of that coming up now so that we can appreciate the scenery that these guys have had the chance to ride through. I'm not sure they appreciated it too much. They were, you know, pumping out 250 miles, going without sleep. So not sure if they really enjoyed the scenery. Quite hard going, but yeah, we'll have a look now. So that was a little section of Monument Valley, Utah, that they zoomed through the riders earlier on in the event. And as I say, it's one of the sections that we've got in the vRAAM. So we try and picked out some of the most iconic sections of the course. So a bit of an interesting course tonight for the riders. We've got Joanna Sharp out in the lead here at the moment. Looking at her power, I think she's generally, it's fluctuating somewhat, but I think it's generally averaging around about the 180 mark. Tim just behind, I'm looking at his power, and I think his is more of an average of 200. If you're looking at the raw power in the top left hand corner, that's what I'm talking about. So not the watt per kilograms, the raw power. On the flatter sections of courses, then it's the raw power that tends to determine well, it does determine your speed, but you don't really look at the watts per kilograms. Weight doesn't have as much of an effect on flatter courses. Just wondering whether Tim is going to be able to close down this gap on Joanna tonight. Joanna setting off on the hilly section at the beginning and opened up somewhat of a gap on Tim, and Tim just keeping on his own steady pace. I don't think he is looking to close down that gap on Joanna, but it would be interesting to see whether that's what actually happened as the race continues. We're 45 minutes in and 26 kilometers down, 37 left to go for Joanna at the front of the race. We were in the Ozarks just recently in vRAAM, and so were the real life racers. So we're going to just cut to a clip of the Ozarks, and I think it's Heather Poskovich. Hey Heather. RAAM takes place every year and has done for a long time. It is a firm fixture in many people's diaries, and part of the RAAM is the big group of volunteers and enthusiasts that get behind it and make the event happen. There is a lot of organization, a lot of effort that goes into RAAM to create a race that can travel across the entire country, cover 3,000 miles. It takes a huge amount of effort, and a lot of people get behind the event and make it really what it is. Here's a little clip that shows you some of the effort and the time that people put into it. Really, there's time stations dotted across the country all along the route that keep a track of the riders, help them out, and here's a little bit of a look at the Midwestern hospitality.
I'm the Executive Director of the Camden Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're here today to welcome our racers. We try to bring in several of our community members through their volunteer support as well as their contributions. We always like to have Pedialyte popsicles on hand, frozen watermelon. We partner with Signal Gas Station, which is a huge benefit of having our station here because they also offer hose hookups, trash dump off, because I know that's important. The crew sometimes doesn't like to have a lot of trash sticking around in their RVs, so we've got a big dumpster they're offered to use, complimentary, as well as ice. So especially, it's been hot many of the years. We're lucky this year it's a little cooler, still warm, but we like to offer complimentary ice to the racers and their crew as well, so they can keep all their refreshments cold. Yeah, so a variety of teams, depending on the time they come through. We do like to give them a cot if they want to rest up just a little bit. We also put up the sidewall, so we try to give you a little privacy. Our community loves seeing the racers come through each year, so sometimes there's even entourage waiting for your arrival, but those late hours or early mornings, not necessarily so many people here, but it gives you a little opportunity for some privacy and quiet time. Yeah, so that is one great thing. At our time station, I like to display our large map because they only get to see just a little part of the Lake of the Ozarks. And many of the racers, this may be their first time in the US or Missouri or just Lake of the Ozarks. And our lake is actually, we have more shoreline to offer than the state of California. So they don't really even get that aha moment till they see this map. And so we also have vacation information. We are a tourist destination. We just got recognized as the best recreational lake in the nation by USA Today. So we'd like to leave some information here that you could take with you and maybe come back with your families for a future visit.
So as we saw there, we've got one of the time stations, and really, like the Tour de France does, like the Giro d'Italia, like the Tour de España, really allows the local community to showcase their area as a tourist destination and lets people see the best of the area. It's a little bit different than the Tour de France rolling through, the cameras doing all the wide shots and all the scenery, and people being able to see all the chateaus, etc., that you see on the Tour de France. But it is an opportunity to sell the area and to get people to come back and visit when they've got free time, or come back and do some more riding in the area. So if you're looking at these sections as you're going through and thinking, wow, that's interesting, maybe you need to do a bit more research, get yourself over to the States, find one of these areas and get some cycling in. It is really something. I've already seen the Ozarks in a popular TV series, and it's something that's really intriguing to me and something I'll probably do in the future. That being said, back to our race, the virtual RAAM, and we are here with Joanna Sharp, and she is pushing out raw watts around about 195. Does fluctuate somewhat. Turbo trainers have different amounts of smoothing, so they can give different power readings depending on the power stroke where the power readings took. It can be smoothed in software, or it can be given raw to RGT, so the power readings can fluctuate quite a bit. You can see there on Joanna's power history in the top left hand corner, quite often it's up around about the 4 watt per kilogram mark, but you can see that there's quite a jaggedy sawtooth power history there. So I think it's given raw to RGT, and it's quite fluctuating depending on the power stroke whenever it's gone through the power meter. With Tim Like now. Tim Like's 1.96 kilometers behind. I had thought, given the power that Tim's putting out, he would be able to catch up with Joanna Sharp this evening, but there are some CDA changes that were made to, I mean, it's going back some time now. RGT introduced CDA so that the riders' shape affects their speed on the course. So in the early days in RGT, it was just based upon weight, and CDA was equalized for everybody, but now they've made it so that it's variable depending on your weight and your height. The CDA changes, and for those who don't know what CDA is, basically it's your drag coefficient, so how much your area is resisted by wind. So a bigger rider has more of an area, more of a frontal area, they have to push harder to get through the wind. So Tim, being a slightly heavier rider and therefore generally bigger than Joanna, has a higher wind resistance, so that slows you down, as well as your weight. Weight's not a massive effect on the flat, but your CDA still affects you. It flips slightly when you're going uphill, so your CDA tends to have less of an effect as you're going uphill, because overall the general speeds are slower, but your weight has more of an effect. Joanna seeming to be hitting a little bit of a sweet spot with the power on CDA, and the weight's really good for the hill climbing as well. So Tim not closing that gap down this evening. It's still at 2 kilometers, although in general he has been outputting a little bit higher raw watts. I'm watching him at the moment though, his power from the earlier sections of the race has tailed off slightly, so that could be why Joanna's gap is increasing somewhat. Still crushing the watts and doing fantastic times on these races. We've already completed the segment tonight. It was a segment right bang in the middle of the race. I think Joanna was probably slightly fastest through that one this evening, but we'll get a rundown on that later on. We'll go back to the racing, just watch Joanna and Tim for a little while, and then we'll come back to some more clips from the real life RAAM, and we'll pick up the dot watching and see who's winning the real life RAAM as well. So we've already covered the series of results on our RAAM virtual RAAM event currently, so we will come back to that with the real life RAAM results, and we'll cover the virtual RAAM results a little later on again in the show. Joanna Sharp coming in with about 14 kilometers remaining in the course. Tim about 17 kilometers. Fast course tonight. The guys are really flying. Ram Media managed to catch up with Isa Pulver, who was, I don't know if she currently still is, leading the race. We just got a little clip of Isa here. We'll play to you now.
Again, wonderful evening, huh?
Hey, she's singing and yelling. She's really on a good trip to Annapolis. I hope she will go on like this and not get too tired, but she's really well prepared for all of the race.
It's going pretty fast pace. Are you guys happy with the pace? You wanted to slow down or go faster?
This was the plan. Yeah, this was the plan, and we are checking every 10 kilometers. We are checking the race time, and this was really the plan.
What's been the most challenging so far?
So far, there are many challenges, especially the tire when she got tired. I think this is the most dangerous part of the RAAM because they fall asleep. But we try to avoid this and to keep Isa in the car for a couple of minutes for a fast sleep, and then she goes on. I think this is the dangerous point.
Were you on our crew in 2019?
For me, yes, we are. Yeah. I was team chef too. Yeah. And there we started too fast, and we had too less of sleeping pauses. And that's what we try to do better now.
Does she listen to music, or is she just singing to her own head?
Both. she always listens to the same 5-6 sounds in Swiss German, and she's singing and shouting, and like this she keeps awake for the whole night.
She reminds me of a little girl playing by herself.
And you look at her, she's smiling all the time and she's enjoying it really. That's her life, I think. Yeah.
There, the Pulver, smashing it, going really fast. The crew chief saying there that was what they were expecting to do. They were expecting to go fast. It's part of their plan, part of the race plan. So if you head over to raamrace.org, that's raamrace.org, RAAM race.org, you can pick up all the live tracking from there, and you can see how the riders are going on with the race flow, how they're getting on in comparison to the other riders. We'll just pull this across and see we've got Tim Like at the moment in view there with 14 kilometers to go. We'll keep an eye on Joanna Sharp, who is a little close to the finish line there, just under the 11-kilometer mark. But in the real life RAAM, we have got the riders on the dot watching. Isa Pulver, rider 529, riding at 12.5 miles per hour. And you can see there that Isa is at mile 2,368. So she's a little further on than we are in vRAAM at the moment. We are obviously going to jump a little bit overnight. But Isa Pulver, we were at around about 2,100 when we started the virtual RAAM tonight. Isa Pulver there at 2,368. Gap back to Lionel Poggio, who is at 2,224. So that is around about 144 miles difference. So the gap between Isa and the nearest competitor has increased from, it was Marek Rapinski who was keeping the distance around about 49 miles, I think. And that's increased quite considerably in the last day. So third place late rider is Leah Goldstein, 2,238. And then with Marek Rapinski, who has drifted back slightly down the rankings, down into fourth position, I think, at the moment. And then we've Heather Poskovich and Yuzuki Ochai Randaner. Yuzuki was seeming to have been having some problems in the last couple of days. Yuzuki, his crew chief, said he'd had a problem with his knee and he was suffering a little bit, but he seems to have recovered somewhere. He drifted back in the positions, but he seems to be holding his own there. And then Kabir Rachur, Christophe Blanchard, Jonathan Moore, Srini Golkunath, BJ Almberg, and Klaus Henning Schulk, or Bottle Klaus as he's also known. Right, it's getting a little bit more spaced out, I think, as the race is going on. There was a period when all those riders were virtually on top of each other, and they've just separated slightly. We'll drift over to the race flow and have a look and see if we can see where differences have been made. You can see that the red line is Isa Pulver, and you can just see from around about this point onwards here, from time station 14, she's been stopping at around about the same points as the other riders have these flat sections, the pauses, but the overall pace of Isa Pulver has just been faster. She's gradually pulled away from all these riders. The other riders generally grouped. Again, they're stopping in similar areas, but the pace have been fairly similar. You can see Christophe Blanchard there, just dropping off on the pace slightly. And that's Yuzuki Oche there, who had, you can see on that point there, from around about, say, time station 24, Yuzuki Oche is slightly slowed and it's gone down in speed, drifted down in the positions, but it's been holding at that sort of distance. Had a decent rest at that point there between time station 33 and 34. Seems to have recovered slightly. That's good to see. I hope he carries on and gets finished without any injury. So we'll drift back to the race again, and we've got Joanna Sharp on the front here. Just keep an eye on Joanna Sharp as she cruises towards another finish of the race, and we'll bring you highlights of the team racing for day 3 of the teams. So again, for those not familiar with RAAM, the race is a race within races. There is solo races, there's team races, there's tandem races, recumbents, all sorts of different categories all within the race. There's RAAM, which is the race across the West, which is the first section of the race. And they all go off at different times, different release times. So we've got the date of day 3 of the team. So we're on to day 8 with the individuals of the solos, and the teams are on to day 3. So we just got a quick clip of the day 3 rundown for the teams, and then we should just be back in time for Joanna Sharp coming across the finish line.
Well, the team, it's not only a team of 4, there's I think team of 18 really. So I think really honestly our goal is have a team of 18 at the start and team of 18 when we finish. So it's going to be lovely things. There's some families, relatives, friends. So it's super exciting to do this together.
Joanna Sharp now cruising up on that very familiar Flamme Rouge. and comes under the 1 kilometer to ride marker. Picking off these meters quickly on this flat course. And that's the 150 marker. We're into the start finish straight. Race across America, Spiegel, Infinity Seat flags either side as we head towards that Race Across America banner. And Joanna comes across the line 1 hour, 50 minutes and 19 seconds. Absolutely lightning pace for this race tonight. Back with Tim Like. Tim, 4.28 kilometers remaining. Tim like cruising past the goats on towards the 1K marker. And powering through. Him now bringing the finish line into vision. 250 meters remaining. Power up at around about 200 watts. There we have Tim crossing the line, breaking the 2-hour mark. Comes in at 1 hour, 58 minutes and 22 seconds. So with Tim across the line, we'll take a look at the results. See there, that now we've got Bo Duke, Jeff Rooney and Joanna Sharp, all with 8 completed stages. Just waiting on the update for Tim Like there. It's not coming through just that. There we go. Tim Like comes through with 8 completed stages as well. So waiting for Louis Gustavo Bellina to complete stage 8 tonight and keep his run going. And Margaret Thompson will hopefully be able to do the catch up and get the stages completed for herself as well. That brings us to the end of the event for tonight. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope you'll be back tomorrow to catch up with more from the real life RAAM event, and also to follow the vRAAM adventure with the online events company. We'll be back here at 6:30 tomorrow night, 6:30 UK time, and we hope to see you then. Until then, have a great evening and enjoy tomorrow.